Hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Jennifer Waters. I am part of the CNY Fertility and Healing Arts team, as well as the Fertile Spirit. And I'm here every Wednesday sharing information about how we can best support you on your journey to improving egg quality, preventing miscarriage, and achieving your goals of a take-home baby. Before I forget, Monday, February 28th, I'll be doing an event with the Fertile Spirit talking a little bit more about this subject of some hands-on tools of things that you can do to help recurring pregnancy loss. But before I get into today's topic, I have a short joke. What did the egg say to the ovary? Nothing, because she was too busy praying that she wouldn't get scrambled. That's my joke of the day. I hope it made you laugh. Some of you know I've been working on the humor aspect of all of this for quite some time, and I hope that it's working. We all need to lighten up a little bit. It's part of how I became a photobiomodulation therapist. I was drawn to light. It helps people to lighten up on a cellular level, on a physiological level, and we can prove that it is helping you. So, okay, there's three things. If you have a history of miscarriage, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear that. It is a huge struggle for so many of the patients that we see here. And what I don't want you to do is continue doing the same things. Okay. I talked to so many women that have had 7, 8, 9 miscarriages, and I'm not entirely sure how their protocol has changed. One thing that's just great about CNY Fertility and Dr. Kiltz is that they try different things. The protocols have changed dramatically. I asked a couple that was here yesterday who just moved from another clinic. And I said, well, how has your protocol changed since you've been here? And they said, how hasn't it changed? Right. So let's not keep doing the same things, expecting different results. We know what that's a definition of. So the first thing is, let me just tell you the three things I want to discuss: location of the uterus, protocols for purification. If you're getting any brown discharge before or at the end of your period, you need to do a little purification. And then how do we rebuild the lining with stem cells? And I'm going to talk briefly about a study that I found that's very interesting. So first of all, location of the uterus. Here are symptoms if that you have a misaligned, an anterior, an anteflexed, or retroflexed uterus. Okay. Number one symptom, endometriosis. Okay. No one talks about this. This is part of the Arvigo therapy community. I learned this a long time ago. I didn't realize that it was such specialized information, or not specialized, but just that it's not part of our reproductive world here, is that women aren't thinking about location of their uterus as a cause of endometriosis, dysmenorrhea, fibroids, recurring pregnancy loss, all of these things. So some of you already know, your doctor told you, oh, you have cramps during your cycle in your back, let's say, for example, and they'll say, oh, that's because your uterus is retroflex. That means she's tipped back. This is very challenging, not only to conceive, but maintain a healthy pregnancy. Why? Because the endometrial lining cannot shed easily. Remember, we want to use what's readily available, which is gravity. Right? We want gravity to be able to help us shed the lining easily. So if she's out of place, that's going to be a problem. Ovarian cysts are another symptom of a misaligned uterus. having to pee all the time, right? So inability to hold your urine well. Those of you who already know that have that issue, if you what I call it is drink and tink. If you drink and tink all day, then it could be because your uterus is dropped down on top of your bladder, right? So the uterus sits on top of the bladder. There's supposed to be a little bit of space. I mean, there's not much space there, but if you're peeing all the time, then we need to do some hands-on work to get her in a proper position. Just really quickly, other signs of a misaligned uterus, like I said, the brown discharge, varicose veins. If you have a lot of veins on one leg versus the other, that can be a sign of a lack of venous circulation, right? So a lot of this stasis, a lot of this stuckness that we have in our pelvis is because the uterus is not in a good position. So look for an Arvigo therapist, somebody who can help you find, go to arvigotherapy.com. Email me if you want the link to that. And what she will do for you is help you to determine, is your uterus in a proper location? If she's not, then yes, we can do it. She's designed to move. Remember, the uterus is a suspensory organ. She grows from the size of a pear to a watermelon during pregnancy, right? So she's designed to move. So this is wonderful, also problematic. You could be 6 years old, you slipped and fell on the ice. Suddenly your uterus is knocked out of alignment. You don't think about it. You have no idea what's happened. And so later on, all of a sudden you have all of these issues. Nobody's going to discuss it. So anytime you have an ultrasound or sonogram, ask the doctor, hey, is my uterus in a good position? If they say, well, we don't care about that, say, well, I do. They don't. A lot of the reproductive endocrinologists don't care that much about it. That's not their focus, because if you're going to be transferring an embryo, location of the uterus doesn't matter that much. But for our work, for getting you ready to make changes to try to prevent endometriosis from coming back, especially postpartum, you don't want to go back into this pattern. So a couple questions. Endometriosis is a cause of miscarriage. No, I didn't say that. What I meant to say, endometriosis is often a symptom that your uterus is not in a good alignment. And a misaligned uterus can certainly be part of the recurring pregnancy loss pattern that we're trying to change. I have a tilted uterus. They always told me it doesn't cause miscarriage. Aha, of course, because they're probably saying we don't know the cause, right? And so let's start looking at what is possibly some of these causes, because there's lots of things that you can do to get her back in place. I can tell you my uterus was completely misaligned. She was down and to the right. I had a bulging hernia, inguinal hernia. I never thought, oh, that's my uterus down there. Everyone said, oh, that's your small intestine. So through this work, the Arvigo work, I became a certified Arvigo therapist. I learned to do this hands-on healing myself and put her back in a proper position. Everything changed. My hernia went away. That's another story. And it was amazing. Same for anteflexed. Yes. So if your uterus is anteflexed, that means to the front, you probably pee a lot. We can do a lot with the self-care massage to get her lifted up. I call her, why not? So we want to lift her all. Does interstitial syndrome cause uterine issues? Well, no, but they're related. So remember, the uterus sits on top of the bladder. If they're jammed on top of each other, that means there's a lack of good blood flow. There's a lack of good lymphatic flow. So we want to keep things going well. I see interstitial cystitis, we call that a damp heat condition. So if you have excess dampness and heat, let's take a look at why. Let's do everything we can to clear it out. All right. And so what else? What do you do? Yeah. So on the 28th, I'm going to be doing part of the Fertile Spirit workshop. I'm going to teach everybody the basics of self-care massage. What you can do for yourself every day, whether you have 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, that you can start tuning in, lifting her up, getting her back in place, releasing the tension, especially in the upper abdomen. Yes, Latasha, yes, this is the pattern. Yes, absolutely. We need to look at this. Depending on where you are, email me, and then I'll try to connect you with an Arvigo therapist. Yes, it's amazing what can be connected to a misaligned uterus. A lot. How do you feel about yoni steam? So part of the Arvigo tradition is that they do what we call veggie steaming, yoni steaming. It's a wonderful thing to do. I highly recommend it. I've bought 2 steamers in my decade here practicing it. You can do it at home. You can find a place that does it. It's very gentle, easy way. And the herbs, the steam actually goes up into your uterus, and it's part of that purification experience, especially if you have the brown discharge before or at the end of your period. That is a sign that she's not shedding well. You have old endometrial tissue in there that the new tissue is growing on top of, and that needs to be addressed. So if you're not having any issues, don't worry about it. But if you are, let's address this, because you can do it. Yeah, I know. We should do a whole workshop just on this. I really think we should. You can go to my website, jenniferwaters.net, reach out to me that way. Okay. Okay. So, blood, yes, exactly. So let's make a treatment plan for you so you can get that in a proper position. Okay. You're gonna shake a heart and send it out. What's that? Melissa, we'll have to speak about that one-on-one. Okay. That's something separate. So, okay. So, of the 3 things, so the other thing is purification of the uterus. I addressed a little bit about doing veggie steaming, yoni steaming. That's a good way to start. So, has a child, and then they came back and have multiple. Oh dear, I'm sorry, Katie. Let's not think of her as hostile, okay? She's responding to cause and effect. All right. So I know it's hard when you feel like your body has failed you. It's easy to disconnect and be negative, but let's not. Let's forgive her. She's done a lot of work for you so far, okay? So we should speak about that directly, though. So, in terms of purification, I like to use that word as opposed to detox. I don't want us walking around thinking we're loaded with toxins, even though most of us are. I want to think about what can we do to purify our blood, our bodies, our mind, our negative emotions. That's what we really need to focus on, is purifying the negativity that we hold in our minds without even realizing it most of the time. And then there are a number of herbal protocols that can help detox, purify the uterus, which really means quicken the blood, use your period to really fully empty out. So you're getting rid of that old blood, that stasis blood. If you're having clots, brown, like I said, just take a month or 2 months or 3 months would be plenty of time for you to detox. So Chinese herbal medicinals have wonderful solutions for that. The Arvigo world has some really nice, it's called a female tonic for that. It's called a uterine lavage, right? So cleansing of the uterus. Standard Process, who I work with, has a really nice, these are easy to do protocols. So once you do that, get her into a better position. Do some herbal protocols for detox. You can also do castor oil packs over the uterus, which helps to facilitate everything you're doing. You can do LED light photobiomodulation, which really, depending on how much fascia you have between the surface in your uterus, is very detoxifying. The light releases nitric oxide, which really helps us start cleaning up things in the blood level in particular. It's antibacterial, helps to eliminate candida and stuff like that too. Then we want to focus on rebuilding. Okay. So, how are you going to rebuild? Of course, nutrition is the foundation, right? What you eat really matters. It is building the blood. So, I'm just going to share with you quickly a study that I found that I think you're going to like, and it's about stem cells. So, I've been doing a lot of research in the world of glutathione and light therapy, phototherapy protocols that can help you. And I've been thinking about, because I meet so many women challenging with this. And then let's not forget, it can also be a sperm issue. There's a lot of focus on the endometrial lining, but let's face it, we have to look at the sperm side. If it's a sperm issue, it could also influence recurring pregnancy loss. So Science Daily, and email me if you want this study in particular. It's easy to find. Did a study in 2016 at the University of Warwick. I think that's in the UK, England, addressing the lack of stem cells for recurrent pregnancy miscarriages. So I thought, okay, good. So what they found is that the professor led a team who unearthed the link between stem cells and miscarriage. We've discovered that the lining of the womb in recurrent miscarriage patients we studied is already defective before pregnancy. Okay, well, okay, yeah, I would assume so. It doesn't happen during implantation. It's certainly generally not happening after implantation. So that's why we want to make these changes before your next transfer or whenever it is that you're going to be trying naturally again or doing an IUI. So I imagine that we will be able to correct these defects before the patient tries to achieve another pregnancy. In fact, this may be the only way to really prevent miscarriages in these cases. Okay. The team found that a shortfall of stem cells is the likely cause of accelerated aging of the lining of the womb, which results in failure in some pregnancies. So that's interesting, right? Because we're thinking about egg quality. We've been talking a lot about redefining aging, thinking about how we age. We're only as old as our cells are behaving, right? So if you can be a very healthy 38-year-old and you can be a very unhealthy 28-year-old. Okay. So it is not necessarily years on the planet. So don't be thinking that way. Oh, I'm 38 and I'm too old. Don't think that way. I see a lot of women in their 20s and 30s that have just the same amount of oxidative stress, heavy metals, other toxins that are causing cellular damage. Okay, so it comes down to how are we going to repair the cell damage and how are we going to prevent the healthy cells from getting damaged from the other damaged cells. Okay, so stem cells are the way to go. The study goes on, and it says that the team found that an epigenetic signature, which is typical of stem cells, was absent in cultures established from womb biopsies taken from women suffering from recurrent miscarriages. Indeed, fewer stem cells could be isolated from the lining of the womb from recurrent miscarriage patients when compared to women in study's control group. So I guess we could say it would be interesting. We can find out a little bit more about why that would be. It could be diet, it could be inflammation, it could be a lot of things, a mineral deficiency, why some women have more stem cells naturally, endogenously being created versus the ones that don't. So, anyways, so the researchers found that a stem cell shortage accelerates cellular aging in the womb. Yes, the lining has to renew itself each cycle. Yes, each for a successful birth. This renewal capacity is dependent on resident stem cell population. Aging cells mount an inflammatory response which may facilitate implantation of an embryo, but is detrimental for its further development. Right. So this is what it all comes down to, is the aging of the cells. So one thing I highly recommend is the stem cell patch. So you can do diet, like we talked about for that, to increase stem cells. There's been a lot of study about the GHKCU. The CU means copper. Having that as an elevated aspect in your body will allow the stem cells to be endogenously created. So that's the good news. And I found this all out thanks to David Schmidt, who's the founder of LifeWave, and the science that he's done for his patents on stem cell production in the body. So these are little patches. You heard me talk about them last week for the glutathione studies that are really worthwhile. And the X39 is the one that's used for stem cells. So if you'd like a little bit more information, reach out to me. You can sign up for my newsletter. I try to address these things, share information. Oh, yes, I know. There's a lot of the cost is a factor. I understand. Thank goodness we have CNY fertility that makes it a lot more affordable. Okay, everyone. So I'm going to give you my email here. You can reach out to me if you have questions. I will promise to do my best to answer everyone. And the other website is Arvigo Therapy. Arvigotherapy.com. Look for an at-match therapist, they're called. When you Camille, when you go to my website, a little thing comes up and it says subscribe. So you can sign up for my newsletter that way. Okay, everyone, thank you for coming. Have a good day. Maintain your sense of humor. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.